And then they'll look at materials as well, is another thing, right? And then now they will look at another, so for parts distribution, they'll look at another region now in order to distribute their parts from. So they will ship their parts directly from Japan to a holding area in, say, Thailand or Malaysia or Cambodia, right? And they will have their transshipments from there in terms of part supplyability, right? So they look at a number of ways in order to keep their costs down. But one of the things that you will never find them doing is cutting the cost of a car. That can only be done from the dealership level. And well, based on my knowledge, because I'm not sure what they're doing now in terms of cost, but if you look at it itself, the cost is never going down, because in 1995, I'm going to be using Jamaican dollars. In 1995, the cost of a Corolla was $330,000.
Yes.
Right. So let's use that analogy. And in 2010, the cost of a Corolla was around 1.9, almost $2 million.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So yes, it will never go down. And then you have inflation and rate of exchanges, and government duties are always increasing, because the government has to find a way in order to maintain the expenditure and the budget at all times. So there are a number of factors. There are a number of factors.
Pandemic or no pandemic, the show have to go on.
The show has to go on. And especially now in the pandemic, we're not talking about cars, we're talking about food. Look at how food prices are skyrocketed.
Oh my gosh. But Chris, there's another factor that we have to look at, climate change.
Yeah.
Climate change is now one of the creators of problems. As a matter of fact, the main creator of problems throughout the world.
Yeah.
Climate change. Climate change, in one way or another, has created problems in countries that are not even fully developed for agriculture.
Yeah.
You understand? If you see the kind of desperation taking place in some of these places, you have to wonder. So, but as you say, we have to find a way to come out of climate change, to sort of doing something opposite to the things that would create climate change.
Yeah.
So that is a very important factor. There are factors that it is proven scientifically that they create gases and things like that to cause climate change. That is another situation that has to be looked at.
Yeah.
Has to be balanced.
And it's one of the reasons why car manufacturers now, like Toyota, like Tesla, like everybody else, are looking at alternative ways in terms of emission control. Right? We have electric cars going out there, right? But the drawback to electric cars, they run on batteries. When those batteries are to be disposed of, where do you dump it?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So we're looking at one end, but you're creating problems on the other end. And I read in an article the other day, following up with Toyota again, they're producing and testing hydrogen cars. So they're also looking at another alternative to the ever-growing problems, right? So whereby everybody wants a Tesla or a Neo or a Lucid Motors or whoever they want to buy their cars from, or Chevy has the Bolt, and Ford utilizing Ford electric F-150s are coming out. You have to look at that well. So the technology is changing in trying to do their part. Do their part in contributing to the effects of climate change. However, what about the other components, which is the part itself? When that car gets old, it goes to a dumping ground. It goes to a scrapyard. What do you do with all those disposable items?
Exactly.
So there are a number of factors that people are missing out. They're not looking at, right? It's either you burn it or you crush it. After you burn it or you crush it, where does that residue go?
it becomes what you call it? It becomes a kind of attraction to some sort of nuclear development. When I use the word nuclear, I don't mean nuclear in itself, but it attracts certain gases and things like that, because those parts are they used to dump them in the sea,
Right.
and they find that those things don't work again.
Okay.
Because it creates an environment that is deadly.
Yeah, especially we see, not to digress, and we've seen reports of whales and other species of the oceans being affected by the plastic that is being dumped in the ocean and all these things.
Aye, exactly. You know.
Yeah.
So you see, it comes right back to how should we prepare for an ever-changing market.
Yeah.
You know, and why there are so many things, but right there, I would say that ensure that warehouse operations are coordinated, efficient, and compliant with international best practices.
Yeah.
That is all at that level that we can do to serve that part of it. I don't and I always say this, boy, Toyota is really one step ahead.
Yeah, and we've seen it, because tell us about your brief stint when you went over by Ford. We had to use a lot of we had to use a lot of the Kaizen activities that we learned from Toyota in order to get Ford moving forward.
Indeed. I mean, we had to apply the Kaizen structure in terms of the parts department. We had to change up the configuration of the parts department to apply the Kaizen structure.
Yeah.
That was really needed, and we did that. Ford, is a good vehicle, but if you, like every other motor vehicle, if you don't apply the proper structures, the backup things like Kaizen, this Kaizen operation is a worldwide thing. Any motor vehicle company, most of them use it. Probably they may have it and call it something else. But when you look at it, Kaizen is was really the way to go.
Yeah.
At the time when we got it. And we applied it in other places and it worked.
Yeah.
Because we applied it next door and it worked. That is the way things are. Well, as I said, Chris, in my time at Toyota, I made special accomplishments too.
Yeah.
I was promoted to supervisory position in 1996. And then I served as a chief union delegate for approximately 15 years. And I never had a strike. I led company negotiations on behalf of staff with trade unions to the acceptance of the company's financial offers.
Yeah.
I have never gone overboard or beyond what is naturally inhuman. A lot of people would say that, boy, you have to be for this side or you have to be that side. We never operated like that. We never did. And that is how that is how we felt it should be. You have to give everybody a fair deal, a good pound. And you can't show weakness to one side with any kind of unbalanced situation. You have to be fair. So we had really came out on top where those things were concerned.